How we doing, people? Big up. We're back. Lee Judges TV. Myself and Lee Judges. Lee's wearing one of my favourite away shirts ever. In a good mood. Good afternoon to you all. Big up to everyone in the chat. Ryan, it was me that was late, not Lee. Lee was rushing back from his shop, bless him, and it was me who was late. So apologies, people. But we're on air now. There's been some breaking news. The Ornstein bombs hit overnight. We're going to talk about Aaron Ramsdale, Eddie Nketiah, a new goalkeeper, and Mikel Merino. So let's talk what's happening in the Arsenal world. Judges, how are you, my friend? Was it a good shop?
Well, yeah, it was a good shop, just getting the bare essentials as you do, like, you know what I mean? But I'll tell you, I was just talking to you off air, like, things ain't cheap these days, you know what I mean? I've only got a few little bits in that, £35, you know what I mean? Like, only little essentials, no little treats, nothing like that, like no chocolate, no crisps, but just essentials. And like, whew, I'll tell you, like, it's a dear old world out there now, like, you know what I mean? It's a dear old world.
Yeah, everything's gone up, man. Cost of living is crazy. It really is. It is mad when you look back to the 80s and 90s and think we thought it was expensive back then, and it ain't compared to what it is now. Absolutely scary, but there we go. Listen, we're not here to talk about house prices and shopping prices. We're here to talk about prices of players, because at the moment it looks like Arsenal have finally woken up a bit with the outgoings and incomings, bruv. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Ornstein bombs overnight, around about 11 o'clock to midnight. David Ornstein, one of the most reliable, broke the news that a couple of players might be on their way out at Arsenal. And obviously we want to discuss that and see what your thoughts are of it, Lee. I've got to say it was kind of news that I was hoping to get some movement on, and it looks now as if there might be. Let's bring this up. Obviously, we are talking, should I say, about the Ornstein bomb on Eddie Nketiah. Now, it looks like Nottingham Forest are interested, Judges. They have put in a bid which has been rejected. They're working on a deal to sign Eddie, and it's 25 million plus some add-ons. That opening bid has been rejected by Arsenal, but talks continue. He is the Nottingham Forest top striker target, but they are also linked with Jimenez over at Feyenoord. Arsenal want 30 to 35 million pounds, and Palace are still interested, but no current club-to-club talks. That's come from David Ornstein at The Athletic. 25 million plus add-ons, I think, is a fair first offer. Hopefully they go up to 30 to 35, Judges, and we can get this deal done. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, listen, Leicester paid 25 million plus add-ons for Oliver Skipp yesterday. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that at all. But if you can get 25 million for Ollie Skipp, then, you can get 30 million for Eddie. And listen, people will start saying, oh, get this, I've already seen it. People having a go at Eddie and all that. Like, I agree with what they're doing. They're not going to just let these players go for nothing. And at the end of the day, and I agree with them, Eddie's not a bad player, but I tell you what they will do, and it will be all last minute. I think we'll get a couple of these players done, and that will be it. Like, and then we could bring in some other players. And I tell you what, someone put up. Sorry who it was. It might have been Harvey. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Kiwior to Crystal Palace. Now, I've heard that on the grapevine. That could be a goer if they sell their central defenders, right? And it could be that Kiwior could be something to do with Eze. I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? So, let's see what happens. I look at Leicester yesterday. Like, they could have done with someone like Eddie. I tell you, and I tell you what, Dan, this is serious, right? You know what I mean? If Spurs only went out and bought themselves a forward, they could be a decent side if they went and bought a forward. You know what I mean? Unbelievable, like, you know what I mean? So, they could do with Eddie, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, so let's see. But, look, I looked at a couple of teams this week. I was very impressed with Leicester till the final third. I thought they'd done some good stuff. I tell you what, Fulham looked very, very good until the final third. Like, there's a few teams out there I think that could do with someone like Eddie, and not Nottingham Forest being one as well. Like, play some good football, but don't look good on there. Southampton's another team. I'm very impressed with them on at the weekend, but no forward. Everton, another team that could do with a forward, like, you know what I mean? So there's teams out there.
Who did Southampton have? Did they lose?
They lost to Newcastle, don't they? 1-0. Yeah. But they at the end of the day, Dan, I'm sorry, if Eddie had those chances, Eddie would have took them. That's a fact. You know what I mean? So I do think that we're right to hold out for the money and everything. And I'll tell you what, look, things are going to get a little bit spicy in the next week or so. Crystal Palace are on the verge of selling 2 of their central defenders, right? Okay, so they're going to need something there, like, you know. So it could be that they come to Arsenal looking for like a Kiwior on loan or something like that. Yeah, we'll give you a little loan spell for Kiwior. We'll let you have him for a year and develop him or whatever. But just think when we want something from you, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you've got to do these sort of things, Dan. So I don't think it's time to be worried too much, like, you know, on certain things. We'll have to wait and see. But listen, if Nottingham Forest, I think we'll push to go to the edge and do it, like, you know, because if they don't, someone else will, Dan. I think we'll see Eddie going, and I do think that we'll see some quick moves for Arsenal in the next couple of weeks. I think they'll probably get rid of Eddie, maybe Nelson as well, and bring in that attacking option that we all desperately know we need.
Yeah, facts. Listen, if they're going to be bidding 25, 30 million, Forest, I think we should accept it. I don't think they're going to go past that. I think they've made it quite clear that their first offer was 20, 25 with add-ons. Means they're probably going to push to 30 with add-ons, which I think is probably what we should be accepting. I think anything above 30 million for Eddie, we've done well, Lee. We've done well there to get 30 million, in my opinion. I think he's an all right player. I look at what other teams are getting, and I think, yeah, fair play. If Oliver Skipp's 25, then Eddie definitely is 30, in my opinion, because Oliver Skipp's hardly played, really, in comparison to Eddie, and he certainly ain't done the goal scoring that Eddie has. So for me, I think that if you're buying Oliver Skipp and you're buying Eddie, Eddie's got you more chance of firing you up the league than Oliver Skipp. Let's just be real about it. Same with Elliot Anderson when he's gone for 35 million. Yeah. So I think 30 million, if we can get that for Eddie, fair play. I think Forest, we've got to accept that if they do come in with that, we've got to just get this deal done. What I don't want, though, Lee, is to us to muck this up now. Because for me, that is good money that we're getting. It's not like they're taking the piss. They're taking the mickey, and we were like, you know what? Yeah, look, Forest to put in 15 million. What are we doing here? I'll be like, just what is going on? But actually, I think that's fair play. So, thoughts on the actual price itself, Lee, and whether you think Edu can get kind of negotiate this perfectly well. Do you think it's fair money?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's fair money. I think, like, you know, what we want is someone like Leicester coming in for it as well. Like, you know, I watched Leicester yesterday, and, you know, they've got a 37-year-old player that's not going to be there for, not going to last all the season, hardly fit. You know what I mean? Like,
should have made it 2-1.
He should have made it 2-1. Like, you know what I mean? That would have been great, wouldn't it? Like, you know, but
yeah.
Like, he done very well, you know what I mean? 37, but you can't rely on a 37-year-old to get you through a Premier League season. So Leicester, I think, have got to be looking at that situation as well. And I think if 30 million come along, then I think that if they, you know, just accept it and move on. The worrying thing about it, though, is that Eddie might look at it and go, well, if I go to Nottingham Forest, yeah, like a big club, that'd be all right. If I go to someone like Leicester, you know, they've got a little bit of, you know, points deduction looming over them. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know how, though. I don't know how how have Leicester got this problems like of maybe dot points and Chelsea haven't? Can someone please explain to me what's going on? Like, Chelsea, by the way, bringing in another one, like, you know, today. They've Felix, they've got Felix, and they, like, you know, Felix, you know what I mean? What, you know, what? Are they going to get done at some stage, or is it just like the smaller clubs that are getting done? Like, you know what I mean? I don't really know, like, you know. But so he might not want to go Leicester, but he might, you know. But at the end of the day, first team football. So, you know, these things that go on in football, they surprise me a little bit. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do think Eddie will go. Obviously, Arsenal have made it clear that, you know, he has no future at the football club, like, you know. So we'll have to wait and see on that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we will. Listen, I think what Eddie's done at Arsenal is fair. I'm not a huge fan. I don't think he's a great player. But when you look at his career, he's 25 years old and he's had a real good sort of upbringing. He's done a good time at Arsenal. He's tried to break into the first team. He's definitely been given enough opportunities by Mikel Arteta, but it's time for him to go now. And I wish him the best of luck if he does go to Forest or another club in the Premier League. I'm not going to sit there and hope that he flops. I think he'll go on and potentially score some goals. So hopefully he has a good career there. But Ornstein didn't stop there last night, Lee. Obviously, we got more breaking news that Aaron Ramsdale, they are clubs that are interested in him as well. And it looks as if with this one, it's going to be Wolves that are interested. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but apparently Wolves have made a proposal to sign Ramsdale from Arsenal with a loan and a buy option, not obligation. So they can have an option to buy, which I don't like at all, by the way. I think it's a terrible deal that we're just basically letting them have Ramsdale for a bit of a try before you buy. Wolves would cover the majority of the 26-year-old wages. Acceptance at Molineux is the deal difficult due to finances involved, but talks with Arsenal continue. Now, that's come from Ornstein of The Athletic. With this one, it sounds like Wolves are a bit skintly, and it sounds like Wolves want to try, if they can, to keep the majority of that money that they've got from Kilman and Neto. I think they've made about 90 million in total, but I think they only want to spend about 20 of it. So that's not going to be enough to get Aaron Ramsdale. Would you loan him out? I would not. I would loan him out with an obligation to buy. So someone says, look, have him for the season, but pay us at the end of the year 25, 30 million. I would not be saying, what do you think, Wolves? Do you think he's any good, or do you not really want him? Because this is a good goalkeeper we're talking about here. Well, I don't think
exactly that. This one baffles me. It baffles me. Do really Wolves need a goalkeeper? I think their goalkeeper's half decent.
Jose Sarr, I do as well.
So why would they want to be letting him go? And then bringing a goalkeeper on loan? Don't quite understand it. If it's like something to do with fair play again, like, you know, just do what Chelsea are doing. Just keep buying players and buying, and maybe they forget about what you're doing. I don't know, like, you know.
Well, Mark's made a good point here on that Chelsea one. Let me just bring that up because Mark, big up Mark. Chelsea have got a property portfolio that they're gradually selling. I don't think it's fair, but it's included in PSR. Look, this is bollocks as far as I'm concerned. How can they be allowed to just keep spending, and then just selling hotels off? How's that fair?
Well, I don't know how it is, like, and then other teams getting done and all that, like, and then you've got a team like Wolves that are, you know, that have done fantastically well to get to where they have. The stadium has completely changed to what it used to look like. They've, you know, invested in the right areas on their ground and everything like that. And, you know, they're not going to be one of the big boys ever because of, you know, attendances and all that, as we all know. But they're doing everything they can, but they're having to sell their best players and then look to do something. I don't think it's fair, Dan. I really don't, like, you know. And now they're looking at getting a goal like our goalkeeper on loan. I'm not happy with it of a loan thing. But do you know what? In a way, I just want Aaron to be happy and just to get games and all that. I don't know. That's not because I've met him or whatever. I just think that he deserves it. Same with Eddie, same with Nelson. These guys have done good for us, you know, have helped us on our way to get to where we want to get, like, you know. And for me, I want to see him playing football. I look at the England situation. He was close to being England's number one, very, very close. You know, when you're having the season that he had for Arsenal, goalkeeper of the year, and you're playing at the top half of the table, challenging, and you've got your rival down in the bottom relegation, who, by the way, his kicking is abysmal. There's a chance, there's an opportunity for him to take his place. So, you know, he needs to get football and regular first-team football to do that. Like, I'm not so sure Wolves is the place for him to go, really. But, you know, I don't understand it really, like, but I'd rather him go on loan than be on the bench week in, week out, if I'll be honest.
Well, I mean, look, let's be real. I really like Aaron Ramsdale, and I like him as a person. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. And I think that although he's been upgraded on by Raya, I don't think it's a huge upgrade. Without getting into the Raya and Ramsdale debate, Ramsdale is no longer a poor goalkeeper that we don't really want and we just want to try and get rid of as soon as possible. If that was the case, I'd be like, yeah, they want him on loan. Let's get rid of him. Let's go and give him some first-team football. I don't think this is a good move for Arsenal at all. We are downgrading our goalkeeper by selling him and letting somebody else go, yeah, go and have a try of him for a year, see what you think he's any good. It's like quite insulting. This is a quality goalkeeper that could be a really good signing for someone for 25, 30 million, that for the next decade could be their number one goalkeeper. At a side like Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Ipswich, Fulham, whoever wants him, he is good enough for that level, in my opinion. So they're getting a good goalkeeper at Wolves if they want him. Now, I like Jose Sarr, but there were rumours a couple of weeks ago that he might be tempted to go to Saudi. So maybe that's what's happening. And they're looking at getting Ramsdale in as the number one. But for me, it needs to come with a obligation. So if Arsenal can convince them that you can have him on loan, but you will be paying us 25 million to 30 million at the end of the season, I think it's good business. If it's not that, and we're relying on Wolves to just go, yeah, actually, he played really well for us, we'll give you 25 million for him, then maybe it's a little bit, it might be good at the end of the year. But at the end of the year, they could just go, cheers for that. Can we have him for free again? Oh, no, we want you to buy him now. We ain't got the money. Sorry. And he just goes back to Arsenal again. We're still trying to get rid of him again. And his value goes down and down. I want to be seeing Aaron Ramsdale, in a football shirt playing week in, week out like you, because I think he deserves it. But I ain't going to be selling him for absolute pittance. I want him to go at Arsenal for good money. So if he's not going to go for 25, 30 million, which is what we paid him for, I'd rather just keep him, Lee, as a number two.
Yeah, I get that. Or do the thing that what we done with Brentford. Having for a year, but there you get the money at the end of the thing, like, which was always going to happen, which is done, like, The other good thing about it is that what could happen about this, of course, is that we've already played him once, so we don't have to. He's only going to miss one game against us. Do you know what I mean? So
that's true.
So like they'll be looking at that and thinking that's not a bad thing. They've only got to play him, instead of 2 games, only 1. But for that reason, it doesn't seem too bad. Wolves are a decent side. Like a year ago, if he'd have gone, and I think Chelsea would have gone for him. Newcastle would have gone for him. The problem Aaron's got is that he's on big wages, which, by the way, Arsenal got him to sign. I know that he signed it, but it was under false pretenses when they offered him that contract because he was the number one. But also it's expensive for a goalkeeper, and I look at it and I think like teams are probably thinking, well, our priority is this and this and that before a goalkeeper, So I'm really interested to see how this goes. It'd be very, very interesting how it goes down. For me, I've accepted that Raya's the number one now. Arteta's done. Whether you agree with it or not, as you say, don't want to get into that debate. Whether the things around it and everything like that, it's done now. Like, you know what I mean? Raya is the number one, and that's how it is. And I've accepted it. I'm pretty sure that Aaron has accepted it. So it's time to move on. What I do like about him, he's never kicked up a stink about it. He's never done a Sterling or anything like that, has he? He's just kept his powder dry. He's got his head down, has worked as hard as he could, and took it all last season. I don't think he deserves it again for another year. That's my opinion. But people will turn around to me and say, well, football's ruthless and everything like that, and I agree. But at the end of it, you want to play football. And I think that he deserves to play it, whether it be I don't think he wants to go abroad. I think he wants to stay in England. He's got a young family now, hasn't he? Like, you know what I mean? Just had a kid. So I think at the end of the day, he wants to stay in England. He's very, very much a family man. So I think that Wolves would be a suitable option for him, but let's. I think someone said in the chat there, Southampton maybe. Look, he's gone down and lived on the south coast with Bournemouth, so I think that could be an option for him. But it's looking, Dan, more like a loan than anything else. And again, that I don't know how that affects us in this. Perhaps if we buy a hotel, we might be able to. To sell him, like, you know what I mean? So, if they give us a hotel plus Aaron Ramsdale, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Like, you know what I mean?
Honestly, it's a joke, this Chelsea thing, mate. I really don't get it, but that's for another show. Listen, if we do sell Aaron Ramsdale, it looks like we have got a goalkeeper coming in. And of according to reports, it looks like we've already agreed terms with a goalkeeper. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal have a verbal agreement in place with Juan Garcia on personal terms. The Espanyol goalkeeper is a priority target should Ramsdale leave the club. What do you make of this one, Lee? Because I know nothing about this lad. Apparently they were relegated. They've just got back up to La Liga. I don't know anything about this guy. He's clearly going to come in as a number 2. And it looks like Mikel Arteta has reverted back to saying, actually, 2 number 1 goalkeepers don't work. I need a number 1 in Raya and a number 2 in Juan Garcia. This kid apparently is quite happy to come and fight for his place and sit on the bench at Arsenal. It's probably one of the hardest positions to sign, isn't it? A second goalkeeper, because they know they're coming and they're playing a few cup games here and there. Do you think this makes sense, Lee, this one?
Yeah, listen, I don't know nothing about it, so when it comes to the goalkeeping situation at Arsenal, it's nothing but been poor. So the record of goalkeeping is shocking. Yes, they've done well with Ramsdale. Yes, they've done well with Raya, but the backup goalkeepers, or Renison or whatever, he lasted long, didn't he? I don't think they're great. I don't know about this old goalkeeping coach. I'd like to talk to him one day and go, he's very good at cooking, and kicking and things like that. But can he catch a ball? Is that part of his remit? Is it, and maybe likes to save a few here and there? And what's he like on crosses? Did you look at the stats on that? Or is it because you just think, oh, he's all right or whatever? Because some of the goalkeeping decisions we've made have been shocking. Absolutely shocking. And I blame Arteta for that because he's part of that, and I blame Edu for that. So I hope they get it right, on this side, I see that goalkeeper. Was it Renison? One game. Was it Man City? Was it in the cup game?
Oh, wasn't he awful? And
I said, right, well, that's that. I wouldn't even put him in my Sunday team. There you go. So hopefully they sort that out and get a good goalkeeper. But if you're playing at Barcelona, you're not playing at Barcelona, but you're playing in Barcelona, Espanyol, of course, it's in Barcelona. But if you're playing and you're on the number 1, why would you want to come and sit on the bench? This is what I don't understand about these goalkeepers.
No, I don't get it. I suppose some people see opportunities to win trophies, opportunities to be part of something that wins, and at Espanyol, are they going to win much? I don't know. I agree with you on the goalkeeping situation. I actually think it's really quite embarrassing. Now, I understand that when Mikel Arteta walked in, there was a lot that was a mess. I would argue that he had 2 Premier League goalkeepers in Leno and Emi Martinez. And when Leno got injured and Emi Martinez played, everybody was worried, Lee. Do you remember it? When he went down at Brighton, everyone went, oh no, because he was one of our better players at the time, Leno, a few years ago now. And I remember Emi Martinez coming in and I remember thinking, right, Leno ain't getting back in now. No chance. And then Arteta did what everyone thought was the most bizarre thing ever. And he gave Aston Villa an absolute bargain of a goalkeeper that's gone and won a World Cup for £17 million. And everyone thought, you're nuts. But then everybody thought, well, do you know what? At least we've got Leno and he's made sure he's number 1. If we were to sell him, he's going to be 25 million. £3 million for Fulham. What's going on? Like, what was happening there? And he's still their number 1, by the way, for £3 million. In that time, we had Runnison, Matt Ryan, and Matt Turner. None of them good enough. All 3 of them have left since. And now, with Ramsdale coming in, we finally got ourselves a number 1. And what's happened since then? Well, he's now gone and we've got in David Raya. And now it looks like we're getting Juan Garcia in, who's going to be another Matt Ryan or somebody like that. So what is going on with the goalkeeping situation? And I would argue, and some people might disagree, I would argue we ain't got better than Emi Martinez since he was the one that first started with. So I understand why he's had to go and get new goalkeepers. I understand why he wants to upgrade on them. But I kind of feel like it needs to stop now. I feel like Raya and Garcia, if that's going to be it, let's just keep it at that for a while. Because let's be real, I do not want to be seeing more goalkeepers coming in at Arsenal. Yeah, we've always had number 1 and number 2, Lee, over the years. When I grew up, it was, John Lukic and David Seaman come in and everyone went, what? And then obviously with Seaman, we had Alex Meninga behind him. Stuart Taylor was behind him. We had goalkeepers like Vince Bartram and Vermes and Rami Shaban. They were always number 2s. And when Lehmann come in, we all knew he was number 1, and Almunia was then taken over. But we've always had a number 1 and a number 2. The only time it ever got close was Cech and Leno, and then obviously Leno and Martinez, and then Raya and Ramsdale. And each time one of them's had to leave. So I just think for me now, we definitely need to just keep 2 goalkeepers. One of them's number 1 and one of them is number 2. And it looks now like that could happen. But Ramsdale's got to go, Lee, first. And I'm still not sure Ramsdale should go if it's just a loan deal. It will leave a sour taste in my mouth if we just let our goalkeeper go for nothing this season and go, oh, don't worry about money. Just try him out for a year. I don't know. That don't sit right with me, Lee. I don't know.
No, I know. I was saying. Apparently, that one Garcia, just seen in the comments, was in the Spanish Olympics team. Like, you know what I mean, at one goal. So he's got to be half decent. So again, I'll ask the question: why do you want to? If you're on the, unless you feel like you can become the number 1 or whatever, like, you know, eventually, I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Like, but it looks like it's a good deal.
He's 23. He's only 23, so he's not an old goalkeeper.
No. So no, it was Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale now.
No, 26. Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Listen, I think that you got to try and get the best deal we possibly can from Ramsdale, but also, like, I think you've got to look at the players' welfare as well. So let's see what happens if we can't get him sold. And you know, I think what he done for us last year and the way he was, I think he deserves to just go out on loan and just swallow it to see what happens. Listen, he can go on loan to Wolves, Dan, be absolutely blinding, and that could push the price even further up. Like, you know what I mean? So who knows? And also at this moment in time, not great. There's not great availability of goalkeepers, which could happen the following year. Who knows? Like, you know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see. But
we will. We will. Listen, people, there's almost 700 people watching, which is fantastic, but over 500 of you have not hit the like button. So please make sure that you do that, because that means so much to the show and to the channel. It really does help us promote it. So please hit 2 buttons that are absolutely free: like and subscribe. They're the only 2 buttons you need to hit. If you do want to join as a member, you can do. You can hit the join button and it will give you instructions of how to do that. But just for now, please, at least at the bare minimum, hit the like and subscribe button. We're on the way to 40K, which is fantastic. We want to make sure we get there in the next couple of weeks to months. So please make sure you are supporting that and a part of the community on League Judges TV by hitting the like button and subscribe button. Judge, let's talk a little bit about Jakub Kiwior, because apparently here it's suggesting from Romano that he could be on the way out. Serious possibility that Jakub Kiwior could be leaving. The sources guarantee that as of today, there are no concrete talks with any particular club. But the understanding, though, is that Kiwior would love to return to Italy. Now, you suggested that potentially Crystal Palace are sniffing around him. I've not actually seen those rumours. But obviously, with Joachim Andersen and Mark Guehi being potentially on the way out at Crystal Palace, you can see why they're linked with centre-halves. They have still got Rob Holding, as someone reminded me yesterday. Not that he's played. But they're going to need a centre-half for sure. So do you think Jakub Kiwior will go? Because I actually don't mind if he stays. I personally quite like him as a squad player. I think he can play at left centre-back, at left-back. But I can understand he wants first-team football. And if he does want to go, I might have to let him go, Lee.
Yeah, listen, I've got no... what's the word? Like, if he did stay, no problems if he did stay. But I think, like, with Calafiori playing left back central defender, they'll probably go down that route. So for me, I think that it would be a good fit. Listen, I wouldn't be disappointed if he went out on loan to Crystal Palace and then, like, you know, we struck a deal with Palace and Eze maybe for next season or something like that. I wouldn't be too despondent on that, and I think he deserves a chance to play in the Premier League. He's never really played in his favourite position, and at the end of the day, you know, you've got Gabriel in there, so it's going to be very, very difficult to get him in there, like, you know. So for me, like, I think it wouldn't be bad. And listen, if he wants to go back to Italy and he's not going to get first team football, we'll have to wait and see on that. But I definitely think that you know, something might happen with Crystal Palace. I don't know, and things like that could happen. If not, but if he wants to go back to Italy, then he's Polish, isn't he? So I don't know why the desperation to go back to Italy. But that's his prerogative, I suppose. But for me, I'm not too disappointed if he stays or he goes. I think he's done well for us. I do see a player in there, to be honest, but he's just not going to get in front of. I see Gabriel and Saliba being our central defenders for the next 3-4 seasons. So when you're looking at that as a central defender, as a backup, it's going to be very, very difficult. I remember the days when Matthew Upson was a very, very good defender for us. But he had Sol Campbell and Curlo Torre in front of him at times. And sometimes it's about timing, and unfortunately with Kiwior, it's just timing is just not quite right for him.
No, I ain't. And listen, I think he's had an honest conversation with Mikel Arteta, and he said, "Look, where do you see my future?" And he said, "Look, you ain't breaking up Gabriel and Saliba. Calafiori and Timber have come in at left back. I don't think there's a future for you in the first team here, but you're going to need your squad cover." And I think that's allowed him to then say, "Well, listen, I think we've got opportunity then to go and get first team football." You say, why does he want to go back to Italy? Well, obviously he was over there when we bought him and he played well there. He was kind of highlighted as being one of the upcoming players there, so I can see why he wants to go there. And the interest is genuine, apparently, from Juventus and both the Milan clubs. So I can see him going over and getting first team football. I don't know what potential he's got, if I'm honest. I know he's a youngster, he's only 22 and he's something like that. So he's not a kid I look at and think, wow, he's coming to an end. But I do feel like we need to look at that seriously and think that position. I just don't know. I know this sounds crazy, but centre halves, like we've kind of got two, and then we're kind of covering, if that makes sense. We've got Gabriel and Saliba, and then we've kind of got Calafiori that can cover, and then we've got potentially Timber that can cover, Tomiyasu that can cover, and then obviously looking at Ben White that can cover. I don't know. I thought Kiwior might have been quite good to keep as cover as well, but what do I know? Apparently, the thing is, Lee, if you want to go, you've got to let him go, haven't you?
I mean? If he wants to go, then that's fair enough. I get that. Yeah. And on the other side of it is, Tomiyasu can cover all those positions. So maybe when he's fit, you can't be just leaving players and just not getting any sort of game time. That's just not fair, So maybe it'll be beneficial, but I think it'll be at the end of the window as well,
Yeah, it could be. Just some more news on Aaron Ramsdale, which hasn't just broke, but has literally just come in the last few minutes here in relation to this deal. Says 35 minutes ago from Sports Pete, says Arsenal are ready to demand £6 million. Oh my goodness. £6 million loan fee to let Ramsdale leave the club. Arsenal have been keen to sell Ramsdale on a permanent move this summer, but interested clubs have been put off by their high asking price, which is understood to be between 30 and 40 million pounds. Is that massively high for Aaron Ramsdale, Lee? I think 25, 30 million is about right, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, listen, they got Raya for a lot less, and he's an upgrade, isn't it? So I think 30 million would be fair. So you got to consider the wages that he's on as well. So 30 million would be fair,
Yeah, I think so as well, I must say. What do you think of this PSR with Arsenal? There's a lot of links saying Arsenal being careful about PSR. We've got to be worried about it and we've got to be serious about it. And I look at this here, this comment saying that Arsenal are mindful of the need to adhere to PSR regulations, ensuring they meet the criteria and also keeping flexibility around their spending in potential in the future. The balance incoming with outgoings is optimal way to achieve that. So what they're trying to say is this has come from Gunner Blog, but we're going to have to try and sell to keep within PSR. Like, how are we being looked at for PSR? But clubs like Chelsea aren't. Man United aren't. Tottenham have gone and spent another 65 million on top of what they spent for Richarlison and what they spent for Van der Ven, Romero, all these players. And we're the ones being looked at. Do you believe all that rubbish? I honestly can't believe we're skint and can't.
No, I don't think we're skint down. I do believe like Arsenal are playing by the rules, which is fair enough. And you have to admire us for doing that because that's what we do. We don't go over. We don't break the rules. But listen, Man United got a loan, compensation from it, Manchester City are just doing what they wanted to do. Newcastle, I feel sorry for them in certain ways because they've got the money, but never been really allowed to spend it. And I really enjoyed Eddie Howe's interview the other day when he actually said, look, we won't be prepared to overspend and things like that. We've got the money, but we know we can't spend it. A little bit frustration from it and everything like that, but they're playing by the rules. Chelsea, I just don't know what's going on there. Like, you know what I mean? They spent 80 million on a winger in Mudryk. Like now they've spent another two signings wide players, and it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like they've got 50 players on. I don't know how they're getting away with it, Dan, but they are. Like, but listen, because one's getting away with it and breaking the rules doesn't mean to say that the other shouldn't. So I like it, the fact that we're not breaking the rules. And if we have to sell a couple of players, I don't think that's a bad thing. Sell the players and then reinvest it in other players. I think that's how it should be. We spent a lot of money last year, which we did. Perhaps we'll have to rein it in a little bit this season, but next season, because of the Champions League money we can get. Don't forget, Tottenham are spending their Champions League money at this moment in time. Tottenham will not be able to spend big next season because they've not been in the Champions League for 2 years, and 1 year of that they wasn't even in Europe at all. And the Europa League is not. So we know what that's all about, and it is the Champions League. But I don't really understand how one team can get away with it and the others are not. And not only that, the likes of Nottingham Forest and Everton at this moment in time, unless it looks like it's going to happen, are getting deducted points, and the others are like just saying, well, that's all right, we'll just carry on doing what we're doing. I don't think that's fair.
No, it ain't fair at all, man. Listen, people, it's over 800 people watching, which is incredible. Please do me a favour and hit the like button because we haven't even got to 200 likes yet, which is scary. So please make sure that we can do that. All you got to do is hit the like and subscribe button, people. It's absolutely free. There's only 2 buttons and they both don't cost a penny. So please make sure that you are liking the video and subscribing. Lee, I wanted to touch on the fact that we might actually be looking, believe it or not, after Ramsdale, a third choice goalkeeper. Now, there was rumours about Dan Bentley, wasn't there? And he is linked with Wolves as well. So he is obviously at Wolves. There is suggestions here from Gullerblog saying, as well as Merino, who we'll touch on in a minute, Arsenal would like to add a homegrown third choice goalkeeper, which sounds like Dan Bentley to me. Arsenal have also been open to improving their attacking options. However, an arrival depends on buyers found for Nketiah and Reiss Nelson. I want to get your thoughts on Reiss Nelson and the third choice goalkeeper. For me, they obviously want it to be a homegrown person so they can actually look at getting the homegrown quote of sort of qualified for. What's your thoughts on a third choice goalkeeper and any buyers for Reiss Nelson, mate?
Well, listen, what do we buy that goalkeeper from Ajax? What's happened to him then?
Yeah, Thomas Setford. Don't know. Maybe he's one for the future academy. I don't know.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, third choice is like, I'm sure like Setford would be the third choice. I don't understand that, like, you know what I mean? So we'll wait and see on that, like, listen, Nelson's another one. I thought it was very, very, what's the word? And a very, very pivotal moment when Saka came off on Saturday and they put Martinelli over there. Not the like for like Nelson, And by the way, I don't think Nelson's done anything wrong. I thought he was very, very good on the tour. I have to say that. I thought he was one of our better players. But since everybody's come back from the international duty, it seems that like he's surplus to requirements. So for me, again, let him go, you know what I mean? I'm not really worried so much if it's big money or not for Nelson. He's come through the academy. I don't think he's on massive wages, but he could have left a couple of years ago. I like Reiss Nelson. I think he's a decent player, but unfortunately, he's just going to be a backup player for us. And realistically, a backup player is not going to get a lot of minutes, Dan. Go and get minutes. Go and see what you can do. Again, I think he's a talented boy. When I look at players like Skip getting moves and all that, like Nelson is in that category that deserves a move. And if we can get 10, 15 million for him, that'll help us as well. So I'm happy if we can see him go. And listen, he's one of those players like Eddie. I wish everything the best for. I really, really hope that they do well and kick on in their careers.
Yeah, facts, man. I actually would have accepted anything from 15 to 20 million for Nelson from Leicester. If that would have been a loan with an obligation and it was 18 million, I mean, that's about fair for someone who's played about 500, 600 minutes in the last 2 bloody seasons. Like, you can't be expecting to get 30 million for someone like that. You know, you just can't. You know, that's the way I see it. So I think there will be a buyer for him. I know Palace was looking around him. I believe Everton and Forest, I think, were looking at him. I know West Ham were looking at him, but Somerville was obviously the guy they ended up going with from Leeds instead. So I think that we will find a buyer before the deadline. I just don't quite know who it's going to be. And that then leaves us to go for the attacker, which we'll come on to in a minute. I wanted to touch on the Mikel Merino deal, Lee. Why is this taking so long, bruv? What do you think's going on here?
Can't agree to fee. You know, it's just a little bit like what we're doing with Eddie and all that. Like, you know what I mean? The fee that they want is not what we want. And, you know, I was hearing over the weekend everything's being agreed. It doesn't seem like it has. I see Real Sociedad have said no, they're staying firm on their price, and that's their prerogative. You know, they don't really want to sell him. But the fact of the matter is, the longer this goes on, it will benefit Arsenal because, you know, he's got a year left of his contract. So at the end of the day, they will want to do something. So I think it's just a cat and mouse game at the moment, like, you know, who breaks first. So we'll see. So it'll be very, very interesting. But the crunch of the matter is, Dan, at this moment in time, no fee has been agreed, and that's it, like, you know. So that is it. That is it.
Well, I tell you what I think's happening. I think Arsenal and Sociedad can't agree the instalments. That's what I think it is. I think the price we know is about 30 million euros. And what Arsenal are trying to say is that they want to pay that across a certain number of years or months or whatever it be. And I think Sociedad are saying, look, we want the money for this player. We don't really want to sell him. We understand he wants to go to yourself. Now, there's a couple of reports of rumours here that I'll put up on screen talking about the situation with Mikel Merino. This one says that Arsenal are on course to complete the signing of Merino within the next 24 hours. Gimme Sports sources have revealed that the club are close to being given the green light to complete formalities and put Merino through a medical. And then there's other rumours suggesting that this has come from the actual Real Sociedad manager. There are no two players like Merino and Lenormand. We've seen Lenormand, who's also moving away. They are not here, which suggests that they have accepted that they're leaving. He's also gone on to say, I can't even say that Zubamendi will not leave at the last minute. They're irreplaceable players for us. We can't look for excuses when these players are not here. They basically washed their hands. Well, not washed their hands. They basically agreed that he's leaving then, Lee, Mikel Merino. So where the hell is he? And this is the thing. It frustrates me because I just want to get these guys done. We've got a lot of work to do, ins and outs, in the next 10 days. That's all we've got, 10 days. And it's taken us 8 to 9 weeks to get a defender in. That's it. It don't fill me with confidence, Judge. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get that and understand that, like, but that's what the way it is. It's a patient game, and you know, listen, I do think that they get it done, but I just think that Arsenal in this position, Dan, and I've said before that they're not desperate. You know, we may look at it and think that we're desperate, but they're not. So, but we'll wait and see. I do think it'll happen. And if it doesn't happen, then, you know, then there's got to be answers, isn't there? Like, you know, if we don't buy a midfield player, by the way, we're going to be leaving ourselves very, very short, very, very short.
Yeah, we are. Unbelievable, really, isn't it? I mean, we've got Reiss at the moment and Jorginho and Partey. That's it.
Yeah.
I understand Erdegaard and Ethan Nwaneri and Vieira are there, but they're all attacking players. Who's in the box-to-box? Only Declan Rice. So Marino's got to come in, man. He absolutely has to, for sure. Has got to be done, in my opinion. It's one that just has to get done. But my last question before we come to a close is what's going to happen with the forward line. Now, I wanted to talk about this because this actually did come up today on Sky Sports News. And I wanted to bring up your friend Havertz. because they were talking about him up top at number 9, saying how he could actually be the answer. And they were talking about it on Sky Sports News. And they were looking at his numbers here, Lee, right? This is Kai Havertz's stats, but it's only when he's been playing for Arsenal as a centre forward, right? He's got 14 matches at a number 9, but he's got 17 goal involvements. There's 9 goals that he's got there and 8 assists. Expected goals 7.46. Now, to be fair to him, I've got to say, back end of last season, Kai Havertz looked very, very good. Very, very good in the number 9. And he started off playing in the number 9. He's got his goal, and I thought he's one of our better players. I've got nothing wrong with Kai Havertz playing in the number 9. I think some people get confused. I have got a problem with him being the only option there, though, because I don't think Jesus is the same in the number 9, personally, as him. I think he offers something a little bit different. I don't think he's as clinical in front of goal. And I just think we can upgrade that position and allow for Havertz to play there sometimes, or at least come in other positions if he needs to, or be a part of the squad. And I think if you're flinging on Kai Havertz with 25 minutes to go, I think that's a brilliant sub to use. So for me, I don't know about yourself, Lee, but I personally still feel that we need an attacker. And I like what they're doing here in terms of what Kai Havertz has brought to Arsenal. And as a number 9, he definitely looks a little bit different and something that can give us a different dimension. But we still need a number 9. And I just don't know that Ivan Toney and Victor Osimhen and Alexander Isak, Ollie Watkins and all these names are going to be realistic enough, personally. So I kind of get worried that we might not get a striker in. If we do, then I think it will potentially be Victor Gyökeres, if anybody at all. Your mate Victor, that you struggle to say the surname with.
Victor. Yeah, listen, I agree. I was talking to, funny enough, when I was in shopping, a fellow Arsenal fan pulled me and started talking about it. And he said, look, got no problem with Havertz, but that the bread and butter goal and chance for him was that one when Martinelli put it into him and then he put it wide. That's the bread and butter sort of chance. You know what I mean? Like the header brilliant and everything like that. And that's where we need someone that's going to take that. Look, listen, we can all laugh at Spurs and everything like that, like, you know, but that they're crying out for a forward as well, like, you know what I mean, a goal scoring forward. Like they've took a gamble, they've took a punt on Solanke, haven't they? Like, you know what I mean, they took a punt on Richarlison, a £60 million punt and a £65 million punt. So there is a gamble, whatever way you look at it, Dan. Whatever way you look at it, there is a gamble in it, like, you know. But I do think that Arsenal need another striker, like, you know. I think that they need to bring in somebody that's going to get goals for us, like, you know. And the good thing where it's different with Solanke and it is with the difference between Solanke and everybody else, there's no pressure on when whoever, if we do bring it forward, there's no pressure because we score lots of goals anyway. It's not a pressure position where you've got to come in there and do this and get us 20 goals and all that. Like, it will be a nice, gentle thing. All I'm saying is we just need options. We need to strengthen the squad in that area. Give us another option. Listen, if we sell Eddie, we need another forward. That's as simple as it is. So if you was to go and get someone that's an upgrade on Eddie, then it's great. But what I think we need is just a different player, different option to what we've got. Havertz, Jesus. You could even put Trossard in that, very, very similar. But what we need is someone that's a little bit different, you know. And Martinelli gives us something different to the team with that pace. So yeah, I'm going to go for, Victor could be the one that we could go and get, like, you know. But again, Dan, I'm going to say this now: we're not going to overpay and be desperate for him. We're not going to pay silly money or silly wages on this one. We're not. Whether people like it or not, that's what we're going to do. We will not go silly on it. And I get it, but everybody wants us because we know that we're close. People can turn around and go, yeah, we got so many goals last season. Blah, 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 blah. We did, but we didn't get as many goals as Manchester City. Okay, we didn't. So what we're saying is, at the moment, Manchester City are better than us. What will take us to become better than Manchester City? That's what we're saying here. We're all a little bit desperate to try and go in there thinking that we are the best team in there, and we're stats don't back us up, and the eye don't back us up at the minute. Like, you know, they've got better forwards than us because that is the way it is. But you know, it's close, Dan. We are that close. So we'll have to wait and see. I still think that we'll do something. I'll be not disappointed, but I'll be very, very surprised if we don't bring in a forward or an attacking player by the end of this transfer window. I'll be amazed.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be very, very interesting. There is reports from some people in the chat are suggesting that they've rejected another bid, Real Sociedad. I don't know how true this is, though. There's a lot of, I don't know what rumor or reliable source that's come from. But they're saying that there's been a bid rejected for Mikel Merino, but I don't know where that's come from. If someone can let me know in the chat what reliable source that is, then please let me know and I'll put it up on screen. Before we do go, there is football prizes this back, Lee.
Back again, Dan. Back again. And listen, what they've come back with is not a shirt this time, even though the shirts are up there. You can see the shirts. It's a Brighton shirt and an Arsenal shirt. And what it is match day hospitality. 2 tickets for the Arsenal-Brighton game. That is a great prize, you know what I mean? Hospitality is always a little bit special, and to get it at the Arsenal is great. And for $3.95 you can get that. Plus there's 15 instant win prizes. Now, come on, hospitality. It's hard to get tickets anyway, Dan. So, you know, for just to go like on that would be, you know, like, so you could actually win 2 hospitality tickets, which are minimum £450, £500. For £2 each. That is unbelievable, like, you know. And also you can win a signed Declan Rice or a signed Patrick Vieira picture. I've got a nice one of Patrick signed, which is lovely. And you know, a Declan Rice signed shirt would be something that I would love to have as well, like, you know. So they're all there. Get yourself out to football prizes. They are busy this season doing things, and we're happy to be a part of it for them. And there you go. So if you do go to and you do win this hospitality, please give me a wave.
There you go.
Invite one of us. It'd be very nice to do that. You know, invite one of us if you win it, like, you know what I mean?
Invite me. The judge is already there, so invite me.
Yeah, there you go. Like,
do let us know though if you do actually win one of them prizes. Do let us know. Because we would love to know if someone has bought it from this channel. So please do let us know. So, yeah, get yourself over to football prizes. Brilliant stuff. Listen, judges, we're going to leave it there, man. It's been a great show. It's been fantastic to get everybody in here. Well over 800 people watching live, which is superb numbers. Please make sure you do me a favor and hit the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. I will be on later on today on Football's 12th Man as well. So please make sure you go and show some love to my channel, Football's 12th Man, which is just hit over 23k. So I'm on the way to 25. So please make sure that you can show some love over there as well. Judges, I'll let you have the last say, mate.
Yes, enjoy yourself out there today. The sun's shining. Don't forget that, you know, there's teams playing in the Europa League and Conference League this week. But we're not. Have a good day.